Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
She's back. No hard feelings.
I'm gonna invite Diane over for dinner tonight. I'm really gonna flaunt my success with rub her nose in it.
Eat, drink, and be merry.
You can spit the bits in here.
On Frasier.
Wednesday at 7 on Q58.
So I finally got the good burger not too long ago, Matt.
You got to Good Burger, or you got a Good Burger, you said?
I finally got a good burger up at Arby's, man, and I gotta say it's better than the movie. But there was some disappointment though, because there was no special box for the fries. There was no promotional box for the burger.
It was in an Arby's container.
Arby's.
Come on.
Why are y'all even doing this? Like, I don't get a Kel Mitchell action figure. What the
Just like a hat. Give him the hat. Give him the little paper something. It didn't have any Good Burger styling on it at all.
No association besides what's on the menu. It just says Good Burger value meal or whatever. And I was just like, all right, so I get it. And it was good. The fries were good. And I loves me some crinkly fries. The shake was good, but something that was also weird, it's only considered a Good Burger meal if you get the strawberry shake. So it's like, okay, I can't get the burger, the fries, and a Jamocha shake or a vanilla shake. It
Like,
has to
not
be a
a
strawberry
Good
shake.
Burger. You mother. That's even more. Because you're making us do some shit.
I've seen both movies and all the skits on all that. They never mentioned how integral the strawberry shake was to they never mentioned the shake. It's all about the Good Burger.
But I'm going back in my head, and even to the movie that we watched, Steve, and even to the previous movie, the OG. And I gotta say, if I'm thinking about it, when he's doing anything shake related, it is pink, which says to me it's strawberry. So
Strawberry jacuzzi!
they're sticklers. But my thing is, what does it even matter then? Because if you're not getting even a wrapping on the burger that just has a Good Burger font on it, it's just an Arby's burger then. This isn't Good Burger. Does it have a special sauce, Steve? Does it have a special sauce?
They added a little sauce to it,
Okay.
something out of the ordinary, but wrapping style, presentation style, it might as well have been from
fucking
McDonald's.
bag. Even you could keep a greased out Arby's bag if it had Good Burger 2 on it. That's crazy. What the fuck are they paying for then? Was it on the menu, Steve? Was Good Burger the font on the menu, or did it just say Good Burger?
They did have that, but that's where it stopped.
Man, I got Arby's. I feel like taking fucking Good Burger 2's money and you're not giving them their just desserts. I don't like that. They're not getting their money's worth out of this.
That's why people don't fuck with you like that, Arby's.
Give them a fucking toy. People are fucking creaming in their jeans that McDonald's is offering toys, Happy Meal toys for adults. I'll go to Arby's and get a fucking Good Burger toy. Especially if it's a Sinbad retro Good Burger toy. Throw that in. Love that.
Keenan Thompson plush doll, something. Now, one more thing, man. You've been a wrestling fan for a while, or you were. Have you ever thought about your wrestling career? Have you ever considered being a wrestler or fantasized about being a wrestler?
Yeah.
And if so, what would your name be?
What would my name be?
Yeah.
Well, my persona would be more of a Road Dogg Jesse James, I wish. I would like to be more of a funny on mic guy, But the name eludes me. Everything that comes to my mind sounds fat, and it's like a one-word name, like the Obliterator or something like that. But that's like cheesy. I don't even know if that would fly now. Uh, you know, Matt from corporate accounts, and I'll just go out like IRS in like a suit and just whoop the shit out of people, but also be good on the mic, Steve. I
With
don't
the
know how
tie
that
and a
works.
briefcase and shit.
Yeah. What about you though? That's an interesting. I'll have to think about that more. But how about you?
I kind of like bit my style from Goldberg. I would just be Garrett, 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 and then like instead of being bald, because I'm fantasizing, I have hair in my fantasy world. I would have a
Okay.
big fro, shaft style, and
Okay.
I'm not rocking the shorts like Hogan and Warrior. No, we not wearing underdraws. We wearing tights like Bret Hart and HBK, and it would be green and black, and my intro music. I don't know. I think it might be like some rap metal, like some Limp Bizkit-ish type ish.
I like it. Man, that's off the. It's a lot of like different things there. That's singular. See, mine just like kind of general. I just want to come out. I want to do a good job, Steve Ironclaw style. But you actually, I think you've put a lot of thought into this. I think there's sketches in your room of like the outfit. You have like a tape that you put in and come out to the mirror and just like do some posings. I like that.
Well, I've done Creator Wrestler enough times throughout the years, and I've bought enough of the games, and I would bring him back, Garrett. All right, I know exactly how he's gonna look.
Damn. I see. I need to bring out old Matt G from I have Def Jam Vendetta. I'm just gonna create the old school Matt G with the hat backwards, semi Limp Bizkit style, angry. We should do that. Maybe we do that, Steve. What's like a 90? Like we'll go out like with Limp Bizkit red hats, and we got like some persona related to that, right?
All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Fred
hey,
Durst
boys
can
and
come
girls,
out in
this
the.
is
I'm
Steve
sorry,
G.
no, wait, hold on. I have to add to this. Fuck that. Fred Durst or somebody who looks like Fred Durst can come out Jimmy Mouth of the South Heart style with some sort of airbrush jacket of some kind, berating the town that we're in whatever date that is. You know, we got to have like a guy with us. You
You can't beat
know,
us, baby. With this. Too happy for us.
Town and Country flew me down to write a story on a Christmas party.
Not just any party.
What happened?
Oh, that Jim Williams went and shot somebody. Kind of pay.
Welcome to Savannah.
It's just a shooting, but give it time. The place is fantastic.
Grand jurors indicted murder what?
Does he have any idea how serious this is? Listen to me. They walk imaginary pets here, and are all heavily armed and drunk. It's like Gone with the Wind on mescaline.
Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, directed by Clint Eastwood.
New York is boring.
Rated R, starts Friday, November 21st.
Well, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your juice soundtracks and your sound garden. Because if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me. And the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend.
classic. I think that song will never die, Steve. It keeps getting revived. I don't know who's watching the show, but there's people that just walk around humming that song. It's beautiful.
Classic, man. You know, if you had to give sitcoms a grade, a report card, A++.
There's really nothing to add to this show. They nailed the song, they nailed the cast, and they nailed the subject matter. A bunch of tawdry old biddies in Miami just getting crazy. This is what we all want to be like when we're old, Steve. Just getting into hijinks. Fucking.
And fornicating, if you will. Get them blue diamonds ready. Well, today, my friend, we're talking about all things January 4th in the fucking 90s. Starting off in 1992, Golden Girls is airing season 7, episode 13, Old Boyfriends. A man from St. Olaf visits claiming he dated Rose when they were teenagers, but she doesn't remember him as one of the many boyfriends she had in her youth. Meanwhile, Sophia finds the perfect man while looking through the personals, or so she thinks.
Strangely heartfelt episode, Steve. I teared up. Told you pre-tape. I got to a point in this, I choked up for real. I'm glad nobody was in the room with me because I felt terrible. I just felt like I was embarrassed. But you know, it even tugs at the heartstrings. The Golden Girls does. It'll get you.
A lot of episodes. Yeah, man. That's what good TV does from time to time. And we start the episode off. Blanche and Sophia, they're in the kitchen, and Blanche is reading the personal ads, trying to help Sophia catch a new boo. One of the ads says elderly white male with a broken hip seeks elderly female into massages, bran muffins, and the book Early Exit.
Another one's talking like it was something like incontinent, but found the humor in it. You know? So you got to deal with a guy shitting himself. That's where she's at. But I love this. Whatever they're like, is this the Miami Herald? Is this like a newspaper? Or is this just like elderly personal ads? Because it's a huge list that they're going through. These people are trying to fucking shack up.
Before we had Tinder, we had the newspaper.
Damn. 90 and looking for sex. I mean, it's right out there. Well, some of them are just like, you know, looking for somebody busty, probably. You know, they got a lot of specific requests. But Sophia thinks that she's found some like old Italian guys to shack up with. Something about if you liked or if you know what Frank Sinatra was like when he was skinny, something like that. And she's like, oh, that's my guy. Yeah. This guy knows what I like.
Yeah, old blue eyes. Yeah, we could fuck to some of that.
And Rose is she gets a call from somebody from St. Olaf, and it's somebody that apparently she dated, but she's like, I don't fucking remember this dude. Very polite, Rose is. Not willing to just say that on the phone when it's easier. She's like, yeah, we're gonna meet, but I don't know who the fuck this guy is.
Yeah. And his name is Thor Anderson, and he wants to catch up with Rose. Yeah, like even though Rose like has no idea who this man is. And next scene, Sophia, she's getting ready for her date, and Blanche is giving her some pointers. You know, hey, Sophia, play hard to get. And they're kind of like, the fuck do you know about playing it hard to get? Get a ring on the door, and they think that it's Marvin, Sophia's date, but it's actually Thor Anderson. But I know him as Vinton from Mama's Family.
He's always this guy too, just a bumbling like fool who's always in love with some chick. He looks like what's his face from the Andy Rooney show or Andy Griffith show. What's his face? Oh, he's Barney, always like
Barney Fife.
He's like the bumbling idiot. Yeah, dude. And he looks, I mean, this guy he always looks exactly the same too. But his name's Thor Anderson. I feel like if I met a Thor anytime in my life, I'd probably remember him. Especially if I, had some romantic relations. But Rose is like, doesn't remember this guy. Sophia is like thinking he's hot as fuck, but this isn't her date. So she's disappointed. And then Melvin comes, or Marvin. Is it Melvin or Marvin?
It's Marvin, Sarah and Marvin.
Yeah, and he's got a handler, Steve. He's got his own Jimmy, the mouth of the South Heart, with him. And it turns out it's his sister, Sarah. But not a great first impression on a date. Bringing your sis with you, kind of weird.
But he's blind, and he needs a driver. He can't see good at night, Can't be running into curbs and whatnot. And Rose, in the next scene, she's been on a date with Thor twice, still doesn't remember the man. And so Blanche and Dorothy are grilling her like, how many boyfriends can a naive farmer's daughter have? Oh, 56. 56? You told me you were a virgin. Well, you don't have to go all the way to have a boyfriend. The hell you don't, Blanche says. I love Blanche's energy.
Blanche has the audacity to call Rose a slut, though. She's like, that would make you a slut. And Dorothy also adds to that, and she's like, that you're the grand poobah of sluttery, basically. She's like, 56?
You're the easiest woman in the room.
Yeah, what base were you going to? She's like, anything but. And the butt.
Yes. and Blanche is offended. Dorothy's born heck, you take that back. I'm the biggest hoe in this house.
Yeah, right. Dude, you get fucked up and caught Blanche as an old man. That bitch, she would just take everything from me. If I was an old dude and met Blanche back in the day, take my money, you fucking temptress.
Yeah, teach me some things. This is like you're not losing money. You're learning. She's giving courses out here.
But also, Rose is like, Blanche, you stay for dinner because I can't ask him any questions now. We've already gone out, and it's like, I can't tell this dude the truth. So you need to ask him the shit I can. And she agrees to do that. And on top of this, Sophia is trying to get slutty advice. And instead, like, very timely, she comes into the room after all this discussion has gone on. And instead of going to Blanche, she goes right to Rose because she's like, I heard you're fast. She was in the other room listening. And she's like, look, everybody, I want to fucking go to Pound Town with this dude, but his sister is always around. Can somebody help me out here? And Dorothy is like, look, I'll go pick dude up. Then his sister doesn't have to come over. You guys will be alone. Bing, bang, boom. You're getting gross in the living room together.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
And Blanche. And now we're back to Rose's date with Thor. And Blanche, she's chaperoning. Like, we find out that his nickname was Skipper. And they thought it was because he was on a boat. He's like, no, because I like to skip a lot. I sure did get beat up a lot as a kid.
And I think this like sort of jacks Rose's memory, and she's like, oh wait, I think he actually leaves for a second. She's like, I do remember this dude now. I was fucking around with him just to make my Charlie jealous so he would see me. So I just was like, leading him along and just to make a dude jealous. And I think this is what she figures that much out here.
He was a pawn. And, he skips back from the restroom and he wants to tell Rose that, like, look, this is something I've always wanted to say to you. I love you. I've always loved you. And I want to take you back to St. Olaf with me. And so did you have something to say to me, Rose? My roommate doesn't wear underwear.
So now Rose is in it. We cut over to Marvin and Sophia. They're hanging out one-on-one. And Sophia is trying to kind of throw it at Marvin. He's like, no, my sister's going to be here soon. Sarah's going to be here. And she's like, motherfucker, you don't need to worry about her. Worry about this.
Put your hand on my heart. And you know what that is in the olden years, man. You put your hand on that heart, man. That's like second base.
Definitely. And Marvin's like, no, I can't. Sarah. And Sophia's like, starts like jabbing at him. And basically Marvin's like, okay, I got to stop this. She's not my sister. She's my wife. So immediately in my disgusting head, I was like, dude, this guy's trying to fucking pull a three-way and is an elderly dude. This guy's a legend.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, dude. So we don't know why, but we know that this motherfucker's lying, Steve.
And Sophia tries to get one up on him, like, oh yeah? Well, Dorothy's not my daughter. She's my lesbian lover.
We're getting freaky. We're going to go scissor in the other room. How dare you?
Scissor sisters.
And then Sarah, because she's on her way anyway, she shows up and sort of, like I said, I'm like, damn, she's like, look, we were just wanted to make sure she was the right one. And still in my head, I'm like, damn, Sarah's even down with this. Marvin's a fucking legend, dude. This guy is awesome. This is not the case, though, Steve. Because what we actually find out through Sarah is that they're not looking for a menage. Not at all. Sarah's dying. Sarah's dying and wants to find a suitable replacement for Marvin when she's gone. So still, that's a great thing. I love it. I love the sentiment. Little disappointed it wasn't the other way, but still, how sweet, you know?
It tugs at the heartstrings, like that's very honorable of a dying person to like still care enough to like, man, I don't want to leave you alone. Like,
yeah,
very commendable.
But Dorothy's like, I think she walks in or like is in the room at this point. And she's like, whatever. You people are lying. You guys need to go discuss this on your own. Leave. Shuts the door and she's like, what a pair of loons. These fucking people are crazy. But Sophia's like, no, like that's what you said basically. Like, how beautiful is that? Like, that's like why I think it's pretty cool, basically, is what she says. And she just walks away.
I don't want to drop Marvin. We vibing. And besides, I care about Marvin.
Yeah. She even checked that he didn't have any like life support systems. When she checked him out like a horse. She like lifted his fucking jacket and shit. But we cut to the next day. And Rose and Sophia are waiting for Thor to show up. Or not Sophia, Blanche. I'm sorry. And Blanche is like, look, I want to watch this. Like, you got to let me see this shit because Rose is going to dump him. So Blanche is like, come on. I just sit at that boring ass dinner. At least let me watch this shit. But she gets kicked out. Thor comes in. And Rose tells Thor, she's like, look, all this stuff that you're saying, I don't remember any of this shit, okay? I don't remember it. And not even the first kiss.
He's like, well, maybe you don't remember because you might have suffered brain damage. And you hear a loud chuckle from the kitchen. It's Blanche being nosy.
You keep hearing that too, to the point where at one point Rose is like, yeah, hold on 1 second, and goes and like fucking shoulders the door, and you hear, ow. So, Blanche might have a broken nose at this point, but after Thor thinks that she has brain damage, Rose is like, look, man, I actually do remember you a little bit, and I remember that the reason I was with you was I was trying to make Charlie jealous, and that's it. And he's like, oh, I feel fucking stupid. Dummy. I'm fucking stupid.
Damn.
And he's like, I need to go. But before he does, Steve, fucking Thor lays the fucking hammer of the gods on Rose and just throws it at her. And she's like, throws a kiss at her, and she definitely remembers him, Steve. She's like, I do remember you in the haystack. Fucking, ugh.
This whole time, Rose was the biggest freak of them all.
58, Steve. You could have been one of them. We all could have been one of them. 58? This bitch has Wilt Chamberlain-like numbers now. It's crazy. Well, no, she had Charlie for most of it, but Thor, he goes back to Asgard, Steve. Takes it back to Asgard. Rose wiping the spit off. Blanche comes in because Thor leaves now. He's gone. He takes it pretty well. I like that. He's like, I'm just going to give this chick 15 seconds of heaven, bounce, because I feel embarrassed. But Blanche comes in and is like, oh, that's so sweet. His kiss made you remember him. Like, his kiss brought back your memory. And she's like, not really. She's like, what are you talking about? She's like, he couldn't kiss 40 years ago, and he still can't. She's like, ugh. That would suck, Steve. I gotta say, that sucks for Thor, though. Can you imagine being that old and you still can't kiss right? Come on.
Poor Thor.
Thor.
Come on, Ken Berry. Do better.
Mama.
And So now, like Sophia, they think she's in agreement. She is in agreement, and they're back at Sarah and Marvin's. And Sarah's like, now that we finalize our little arrangement, I'd like to propose a toast to Sophia, whose generosity and kindness of spirit have given us gift beyond measure. And Dorothy says, I too have a toast. I predict nothing but disaster and tragedy for everyone connected with this travesty of an idea.
I was like, God, okay, downer. All right.
She's not
But
going to be living with this, is she?
yeah. um, but then I think that like Sarah and Marvin are like starting to share a story about how they met. And Marvin's like, she doesn't want to hear that. But Sophia's like, yeah, I want to hear all this stuff. And Sarah and Marvin start talking about how they met. I think he was a salesman or something. But regardless, as they're telling this story, you can see that they're just like truly in love and they're so happy together and they love each other. And Sophia's like in seeing this, she's like, guys, I can't do this because there's no way that he's ever gonna look at me like that. Like I can't compete with that, you know. And they're
They'll have
like
something special.
And yeah, and Sarah's like, first Sarah's like gets fucking pissed. She's like, do you realize how much time we wasted? Because she's like, there's like a ticking clock on this lady. Like I think she's, you know, it's
She
about
says
to blow.
months, they said.
So,
Yeah.
but Sophia says that, and she's like, "You guys love each other," and like Dorothy's like, "You guys aren't wasting. What the only time you're wasting is the time that you guys have together. Like, you guys should just be enjoying each other instead of like doing this. It's not right." And Rachel goes into her thing, and she's like, "I'm doing this for him. Like, I want Marvin to be happy." And Marvin's like, "I don't want this. Like, I'm just doing this because I wanted to make you happy." And then in that, they realize, like, oh, let's just be together. And that's when I cried because I was like, that's so fucking sweet. It's so beautiful. But it is.
Let's just
Marvin and
enjoy
Sarah,
our
dude,
time together.
they're just a timeless love, Steve. And then what he does say, he's like, that's what got me. Because Marvin's like, even if you go before me, I'll be right there. I'll be there soon. Something like that. It's like, Jesus. And then Sophia and Dorothy are like, you know what? We're just going to go.
While y'all doing that, we're going here. And they have a little clip at the end of this episode where they're going through the ads again. And Rose is reading them. And it says, enjoys walks in the rain and skipping. And she's like, what kind of jerk would date a guy like that? Bringing it back full circle to Skipper, Thor Anderson.
Thor Anderson, dude. Skippy, but legend. Venton, I dig that because he was getting it, Steve. He had the hottest chick, so, you know.
With the curly mullet, man. But also in 1992, Nick Arcade debuts on Nickelodeon. Two teams vie for a chance to go inside a video game.
It was so great. This was the show. If I could have been on any Nickelodeon show, Steve, this was it. You and me back in the day, little kids, Team Red, because that's how I roll. But I wanted this so bad.
And they would do current games. They would have games from TurboGrafx, Neo Geo, Sega Genesis, I think some Nintendo games. But if you think about technology now with AI, the possibilities of like what you could do, like being inside of a Grand Theft Auto style game or being inside of Madden or something, there's a lot you can do, man. And they were actually going to reboot it and call it Nth Level. They had a campaign on Kickstarter, and they proposed the show to be hosted by Phil Moore again, but they didn't get their goal of 350,000.
Damn. But I'm glad they went back to Phil Moore because he was the glue, Steve. His freestyling ability and hosting ability, second to none. Well, maybe Mark Summers, but still, Phil Moore, legendary. We are gonna go play a game right now. Just it's magical. You want to talk about freestyle? This motherfucker's the king, Steve.
Shit, man, little flip, move over. And I would be like so jealous of the contestants because for one, they were on the game And two, like if they sucked, I was really shitting. 8-year-old Steve is shitting all over. Like you couldn't jump over that barrel.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. The setup was this. They were asked questions, and there was one video game that was sort of like a map that these avatars had to, their team avatars had to like maneuver through answering questions, right? So that was cool in and of itself. They just made their own video game for that. Then they would get into challenges, one of which was to go over into the arcade zone, which was my dream, just to make that jog over there to the plethora of arcade games. Bonk was always one. I think they must have had a deal with Genesis because there was a lot of like Genesis shit.
Yeah.
And sometimes you would like compete in a video game. You would do that. You would try to get like high scores on that video game. And then the team that won got to go in a fucking video game. And that, Steve, I don't think I would have been good at it because I couldn't jump very high and shit, but I want to know what it was like as a kid. And yes, when they sucked at it, you were like, what do you fucking hit start? Because you'd get this kid that could never find fucking start. It's like that should be the easiest thing. And they're just sitting there like, go.
I think some of that had to do with the limits of technology at the time because like I've seen behind the scenes clips of the show and it was pretty shoddy. You know, like they made orangeade out of orange peels. But yeah, which further leads me to say like, man, like with technology now, like there's no telling what they could do.
We got to call film, get him on board, get him just like in agreement that if it pops, he's going to do it. But there's got to be a way, like, especially with VR, just throw a couple VR headsets on these kids. People are doing this in their houses. So there's got to be a way we can get Nickelodeon or whatever exists back on board here.
On TikTok or something, man. But you know who probably didn't watch that episode of Golden Girls or Nick Arcade in 1992 on January 4th, Matthew?
Ooh.
Probably Boston's Robert Parrish, because he was the 5th player in NBA history to register 2,000 career blocks during the Celtics' 196 loss at Minnesota, joining Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Mark Eaton, Wayne Rollins, and George Johnson.
Yeah, Robert Parrish, always legendary, always looked old to me.
Always.
That was the thing that stood out to me. I remember getting his basketball card and being like, this guy just looks old, even as a little kid, but killed it and was just lanky as all shit. How you could get a shot up over this guy, I never understood that.
Yeah, you had to be as tall as him to do that, man. And you know, I'll never forget there was this clip where they played the Pistons. They were rivals for a while. And Bill Laimbeer, he was a bully. And I remember him giving Robert Parrish hell. Robert Parrish just turns around and just double arm barrel punches the fuck out of him. Both hands. Just it shows you where we were like as a society. Like I don't even think they got ejected. I want to say if they did get ejected, that there wasn't a suspension. Whereas now you get booted out the league. He beat the fuck out of. He was just fucking.
I love that he tried to Hulk smash fucking Bill Laimbeer though. Shut up, Bill. I love that. 2 old ass looking dudes on the basketball court just getting into fucking blows. I love that.
Yeah. And he was nicknamed the Chief because of him being like, what's the word where you're not being worried about something? Yeah, I know. I need to stop or slow down.
That'd be cool. That would be very cool if that was why. But sorry, I interrupted. Why did they call him the Chief? Just because he was a leader, or
one flew over the cuckoo's nest. There was the tall Native American guy who never spoke.
Oh, okay. I like that.
He was the chief, like the guy that helped like break out of the mental ward.
Yeah, he was the guy who pulled the fucking water fountain out of the floor and like threw it out of the window.
That guy, yeah. And he kind of carried himself that same way. Doesn't speak, man of little words. But hey, he has a presence, man.
He'll bash the fuck out of you if you get in his way, though. We'll just fucking
Bill Bill Lambert knew how to push those buttons. But in 1993, the final episode of WWF Primetime airs on USA. 417 episodes total.
Damn, that's crazy that maybe I just didn't have USA, but I just always remember this was a treat. If you got like wrestling in a random time, I don't remember prime time. I didn't tune into it regularly, but I would catch it every once in a while, and I love that. There was also, what was it on Sunday? It was like Superstars or something.
Superstars was in the morning. Yeah, I think there was also All American Wrestling or something. But like this was predating Raw. This was the Monday night show before Monday Night Raw, man. And this is the lineup that I remember from the 80s going into the 90s with this classic setup, Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. And they would basically air like dark matches from like when the company would do their tours in small towns. They would show Rick Rude and a jobber, Jake the Snake and a jobber. They were basically like squash matches for the most part. You didn't usually have two named guys going up against each other unless it was like the final match. But what made this magic was their chemistry, man. These guys, they had their banter, their bickering, and they were actually good friends. Like as a kid, I didn't know that. I thought they were like bitter enemies, but they were like really good friends, man. And Heenan, his one-liners, like it just they will never not be funny. Like I was watching random primetime episodes, and Dustin Rhodes had a match, and he's like, who is this? Who is this jagoff or whatever? And Gorilla's like, well, that's the American Dream son, and Bobby's like, that's his problem.
Dude, that guy. I mean, Jesse the Body. What this was in the '90s, so Jesse the Body was doing like announcing in the '80s and '90s too. So, is this setup? Did they like revolutionize this? Like having a shit talking guy, like the bad announcer and the good announcer, like on the same broadcast? Did they start that?
I'm not sure if they started the heel commentator, face commentator, but they perfected it for sure. And this show had different renditions, man. Like this is the classic setup with this studio, and then in the '90s they made it like a live audience studio where they actually had audience members, and they would have wrestlers come in to do little skits and like that. And that was hosted by Bobby Heenan and Vince McMahon. Well, Gorilla took a back seat, and then around the time the steroid scandal happened, Vince had to like fall back, and Sean Mooney took his place. And in the final year or so, they made primetime wrestling like a round table discussion where Vince was the moderator. They would have Heenan, Monsoon, Hillbilly Jim, sometimes Duggan, sometimes Macho Man, Slick. And that was patterned after like the McLaughlin group, which was like a popular show at the time, John McLaughlin. But yeah, man.
Bobby Heenan also rocking a robotic pimp suit that I didn't realize how fashionable Bobby Heenan was. I thought it was a lot of rhinestones with the brain on the back of the suit jacket. This is on a whole nother level.
Swaggerific.
Got an adamantium fucking suit jacket. Gorilla Monsoon's got like a pool table material jacket made out of felt.
Just a lot of is this velvet? A lot of classic moments on this show, man. Like obviously the banter that they had. I remember the Christmas episode where Heenan is dressed up as Santa, and they had this thing where Roddy Piper was in a remote studio, and throughout the episode, Heenan is saying, "You kids are stupid. Santa's not real." And Roddy is getting heated. He's like, "Don't say that. There are a lot of kids that watch the show. Don't ruin it for the kids, Heenan." And so like he's just egging up, like, what are you gonna do? Santa's fake. Hey, you kids are stupid. So he breaks the fourth wall, and Roddy just basically runs into the studio and just beats the fuck out of him. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Is he dressed as Santa though?
Heenan is dressed as Santa. Yeah.
He beats the shit out of Santa. I love that.
For talking down, man. But 1994, Rock is airing season 3's Terence Got His Gun. After Sheila's friend pulls out a gun at school, Rock tries to keep the peace.
Boy, does he. This is not the first time we talked about this, Steve, but I don't, maybe this is me, but I feel like there was a good percentage of Rock episodes that were like a very special episode where there was like a very heavy message being applied to the story. This one, Steve, I don't know if you told me about this, but I was so caught off guard by the end of this episode that I started screaming when it happened. I had to call my wife up just to clarify what I had just seen.
The PSA. And we start the scene off with Brock asking Joey for his rent, which is a common thing. Joey, where's my rent?
I would not want to have to owe this guy rent. This dude is all about it, Steve. Where's it at? Joey is very blasé too. He's like, man, I just can't give it to you at once. Make me feel dirty inside. Like, does Rock own the building? Is that it?
I'm not sure. I think he might have like leased it out to his brother or subleased it, which I don't know. Maybe that was legal in Baltimore in the 90s.
Okay. Well, Joey owes him some rent, but he's like, I'll get it to you. I just waiting on my new checks to come in. He's like, man, you don't even got a bank account. He's like, oh, maybe that's why it's taking him so long. And this guy. And then Sheila. And who is Sheila to Rock?
Sheila, I believe, was adopted. She's not their actual daughter because she's referring to them as Mr. and Mrs. Emerson.
Yeah.
And she's played by Alexis Fields. She's another hottie. She's the little sister of Kim Fields, a.k.a. Regine from Living Single, a.k.a. Tootie from Facts of Life. Their mom was an actor. She was Chip Fields, who played the mother, Janet Jackson's mom on Good Times from the famous Mama, Don't Hurt Me, Ma. And she put the iron to her. That's Chip Fields, the matriarch. So acting runs in the family. I follow Alexis Fields on Instagram, and thank you for what you do on your social media. Fine.
I'll have to check that out. And I wasn't aware of this, but Sheila in this episode comes in, and she's very sweet, very nice, very, pleasant, and is like, hey, I have a friend, we're gonna do some studying. And Eleanor, Rock's wife, is like, yeah, cool. You can just go upstairs, study, it'll be cool. And then we see who the friend is, and it's a boy, Steve. And they didn't know that. And Rock's like, hey,
yeah.
We're going upstairs.
Maybe you should go into the kitchen where the lighting is better. And Terence is played by Brandon Quentin Adams, another 90s child star from Sandlot, from both the Mighty Ducks and the People Under the Stairs.
Damn, that was him. I knew the Mighty Ducks and Sandlot. Damn, he was in that. But Brandon is also, what's his name in this?
Terence.
Terence, very nice, very polite, very cool, very good at talking to parents too. So we like Terence, and Terence is like getting the business from Rock. He's getting the nightmare experience as some kid trying to like hang out with a chick, and Rock's like, yo, here's a juice. Drink that shit. Sweet enough, bitch.
And by the way, those juices look like wine coolers.
Yeah, that's some really fancy juice. But Terence eventually tells Rock, he's like, Rock knows his dad or his grandfather or something. So his
grandpa.
Yeah, now Rock's all about it. He's like, oh, let me tell you a couple stories. And now this is the other nightmare you get where the dad's like hands-on, like really, it's like won't leave you alone. Because Terence wants to throw a couple of moves at her. You know that, Steve.
Yeah, I know I did back in the day. And, Terence Lambert, that was your grandfather? We used to call him Eagle Eye Lambert. Man, you could see a trash can from 40 miles away. Okay.
Cool. Okay. So now, Terence is welcome. He's cool. You can't go upstairs yet. It ain't like that, but he wins Rock over. But then we cut to school, Steve. And Terence is hanging out with Sheila. And then a 40-year-old bully. What's up with 90s bullies coming from other schools into the other school to bully kids? Because Terence is getting bullied by some guy named Damon who is wearing, his hair is made of plastic, Steve. I don't know what's going on upstairs, but He's a thug and he's coming in to bully some kids.
You know that haircut that Pete got from Barber Dan? This is like the black version of that. He's got the black Roger Klotz.
Yeah. I mean, it's very Flock of Seagulls, but like downturned. You know, it looks like a helmet almost, but give me that coat, cuz. Give me that coat. He just wants a coat. And he's got like 40-year-old like gangsters with him that look like, there's like a Mexican dude, I think, that he's definitely from like the Dusk Till Dawn fucking bar. I don't know what's going on with these bullies.
Equal opportunity gang, man. And Damon and his hot comb, he wants that jacket. He already took his shoes. He was just like, well, dude, I can't come out of my jacket. No.
Man, you already took everything else. This is my daddy's jacket. So he's there. We know that Terence is getting bullied now, right, Steve? Cut back home. Rock's going at it with Joey. He finally gets the rent, but also finds out Joey's having some people over. And he's like, man, you having a party? And he doesn't like when Joey has parties, Steve, because when Joey has parties, it costs Rock money.
When he sleeps, it costs me money.
Bringing all these fast women over here with them big booties and they sexy chests and whatnot. Costing me money, Joey. But Joey's like, no, man, it's not a party. I'm having some people over. And I think we either find it out here, but it's like for a fundraiser of some kind.
For a music school that they're trying to build in Baltimore.
Yeah. And then I think we cut right back to the school. And Damon shows up again, midday. Still wants that jacket. He's fuming for that jacket and throws Terence up against a locker. And then Terence goes into his bag, pulls a gat, Steve. He's got a 38 right there.
Pulls that goddamn it out.
And I got to say, I know that Damon's a bully, but it doesn't, he's like, oh, you pulling a gun? We'll be back, cuz. It's like, damn, I'd be like, oh, shit. Like, there's no hesitation. This guy's a straight he is a gangster, Steve. This isn't just a bully.
This isn't Perrysburg. This is the mean streets of Baltimore, man. And one of the dudes was like, man, I'll take your strap. As the
Mark-ass buster. I think somebody actually says that in the background. One of the 40-year-old thugs with the sunglasses. The AARP gang. So Terence has a gun, but it's like this. He doesn't get immediately arrested. This is the early 90s. He pulled it, did what he had to do, and went about his business. Him and Sheila just leave. And then they get home, and, Rock and Eleanor are there. Terence and Sheila come in, and they're shaking, obviously. They're acting weird. And, Rock's all over Terence. He's like, oh, I've been waiting to damn talk about Eagle Eye again. I remember this other time he saw this big, whatever. But they're like, yo, what's going on? Why are you guys acting so fucking weird? What's going on here?
Eleanor takes his book bag and throws it on the chair, and they jump a little bit. And then Rock, he's talking to Terence and Sheila, and he takes the book bag and tosses it on the table. And they're like, man, what the fuck? Like, y'all acting mad strange. So Rock opens up the bag and he sees the gun. It's like, what are you doing with this?
Yeah. So he kind of explains, he's like, there's this guy, he's trying to bully me, and explains that situation. Eleanor's like, well, I'm calling your mom and dad. I'm calling your parents. And he begs her not to, but she does. And then Rock goes in on him and come to find out, he's just like, why are you using this gun? He's like, man, this guy's always bullying me. I'm always afraid of this dude. And it was just nice to see him be afraid of me for once. I didn't see him be afraid, but apparently there was a glimmer of fright in there. And he's like, it just felt good to be not be a fucking bullied ass kid. And Rock's like, nah, fuck that. What's Damon's last name? I'm gonna go talk to his parents, and I'm gonna go talk to the school so we avoid some fucking crazy shit popping off.
Put the gun down, son.
Be a man without it.
Yeah. So Rock, he wants to run interference and talk to Damon's parents. And when he comes back, he finds out that the father's not around. There's 4 other kids, so the mom's got her hands full, and she hasn't even seen Damon in 2 days.
No, they're just like, man, it's just like hard for people to do anything when they're single parents. Like they like feel for this lady. So Damon's out in the wind. I think he talked to the school. So like Rock did, or maybe not. He didn't even. Maybe we don't even hear about that. But then we cut to Joey's party. Like Rock's there, and she's like, maybe Eleanor's like, maybe you should go up and like talk to Joey. He has people up there. Don't embarrass him. Rock goes up. And there's like a shit ton of people. And at first he's like, yo, man, it's too loud up in here. He's being all mean and shit. And Joey like quiets everybody down. And we find out that what he's doing is trying to raise funds with this big group of people to start some sort of music school in the city to get kids off the streets.
Which is a great idea, man. And, you know, to start this fundraiser, they want to have a concert and they're trying to figure out the venue. And, you know, one guy suggests, hey, we should check out the Armory. Let's see how much it costs to rent out the Armory, and we go from there. And so they're pulling money. That guy, he puts in 100 and makes Paula the treasurer because he can't trust Joey with no money. She throws in 100. And then, so they turn to Rock. So how much you putting in, Rock? $7. $7?
Yeah, and they shame him into giving a hundo like everybody else. And Joey looks over, he's like, so having a party did cost you some money, huh, bro? And Rock's like looking, and he goes over, steals Joey's little TV, and he's like, it didn't cost me shit. I just got a new TV, and walks out.
Which was actually Rock's old TV. So yeah.
So he's still got some, Steve. He can go take that into the bathroom or something. But next day, we cut from that, which is great. Joey's not a bad guy. You know, he's trying to make some money for the kids, start a music school. We love that. Next day, Sheila comes into the house, and she's like, hey, Terence is outside, and he just wants to know if he can come in and tell you something. So he does. And he, you know, he's being super apologetic. He's like, I'm so sorry for what I did. He, you know, does what he should. He apologizes to the family. And he's like, you know what? As a token of my appreciation, I'm going to go buy us some ice cream. And Eleanor's like, hey, Rock, go give him some money for ice cream. And there's this whole thing where Rock's like, here's $1. I want some change. And he goes, Rock's very cheap, Steve. We learned that.
Very cheap. He's a garbage man.
And then he gives him more money. And Terence leaves to go get some ice cream. Door closes. Pop, 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 pop. Window, I think glass, like the windows get shot out. So I think something happens, but somebody gets shot, Steve. Rock goes out. And all we hear is him call for an ambulance. So that happened in an episode of this television show, Steve. We don't know what happened now. Terence, is he okay?
And we find out in the next scene, Terence didn't make it. And I miss my Uncle Charles, dog.
I mean, that's crazy. One, because Kendra pointed this out, I mean, Damon, there's no question here. If they find him, it's over with. He's going to jail. This guy is a cold-blooded killer along with those other like 30 or 40-year-old dudes that he was hanging out with. So Terence is dead. Sheila's just in tears on the couch. She obviously, I mean, it was her friend. She even says that. And I know the tone of this episode is dark and is a message to be had here, but I did think that Eleanor's line reading at the end of this just was kind of like very like cheesy. It was like, what is happening to our city? It's just like very 90s telenovela dramatic. But she's right. I mean, this kid just got gunned down in cold blood. And then we cut from this heartbreaking scene to basically the PSA at the end, and Rock teaching about gun violence, especially in the Black community at the time. And this was 94, Steve, so it's not going to get much better, Rock. Sorry.
Yeah, man. There's about to be a gay black man wearing a trench coat named Omar taking over the city here soon. So yeah, these Baltimore streets ain't safe. And watch out for Chris and Snoop. They put people in bricks. But you know, he has a call to action to adults, specifically black parents. You know, and you know, from a person raised in a single parent household, man. You know, a lot of times this is what happens. You know, while the mom's working, you know, the child is left to the streets tend to, you know, if they choose that route. And you know, not having a father figure, a lot of people turn to the older guys in the neighborhood. Sometimes that older guy is a gangster or involved with street activity, man. And we have impressionable minds at that age, man. You want to fit in, you want to be cool, you want to be looked at as a hip one among your peers. So you know, even if it's something that'll do you damage years down the line, at the time that's all we see, like, you know, instant gratification, just like Damon, instant gratification. Yeah, obviously that man, he's going to get caught. Not too many brothers out in Baltimore had a haircut like that with the hot comb. So yeah, you will be found and you're going to jail.
Black dude
But you
that looked
know,
from Tron, he killed the guy.
you know, but Rock, he brings a good point, man. Our own children are doing what slavery and the Ku Klux Klan couldn't even do. And so, you know, part of this call to action even has a hotline, National Victim Center, 1-800 FYI call, and the Covenant House 9 line, 1-800-999-9999. And that's still active 7 days a week from 1 to 5.
It's just crazy. This was 30 years ago. Like in a day, we're recording on New Year's Eve on 2023. So in a day, this is basically 30 years old. And it's crazy this was such a thing then, and it's still such a horrible thing. But his message is really well done. I did think it was odd though that in the shot, because they're basically in the PSA, he's in like the school classroom set from the show, or from, I'm assuming from the show, and there's all these kids from the show that were in the school as like background extras in this shot. But when he gets to one of the scenes, Terence, the guy that played Damon and his little like AARP gang are in the background in the outfits they wore as thugs, like looking thuggish in the background. So I was like, it's bizarre that you chose to show them, because it's like the oldest of them inside. They look like fucking like straight out of Compton background extras. It's bizarre, dude.
Like their own work release.
Like
But you know, I love this show growing up, man. And you know, this was a part of the Fox, you know, weekly lineup. Uh, a lot of episodes, like you said, man, a lot of like PSA like call to action episodes. It was kind of like a Black Blossom. You know, everything was very special episode.
Yeah.
You know, that social commentary at the end, breaking the fourth wall. Um,
Dude was a
did
fun.
people take heed to it?
Yeah, I know, especially for this. You know, this is more catered. This is centered, and like the message at the end is, like you said, towards like the black community and like black parents and stuff. But what he's saying, especially like the shit about parents being like, we have to like pay attention to what these kids are doing and stop this. Like that's a universal message now. And this problem, it's like, I mean, I don't want to get too much into like serious shit on this, but it is crazy that 30 years later, that shit's like way worse. It didn't get any better at all.
They be shooting up schools now, man. But you know who probably didn't watch this episode of Rock in 1994, Matt?
Who?
Probably American football player Derrick Henry.
He was
Born
bowling
in
over some
Jubilee,
pussy
Florida.
lips. Just running out of that pussy like that. Just like a bull. That guy's so big, Steve. Did he just rip that woman in half? Did he come out that big?
6'3", 247 pounds.
I remember, because you know he's a running back, and now running backs get injured constantly, and I think he suffered from that a little bit. But when he was like bowling the shit out of people a couple years ago, when he was like at the height, I remember watching him. It was like a workout video where he was like squatting like, I mean, he's like squatting like 1,000 pounds just for reps. You know, it's not, how do you take that guy down if he can do that? I don't understand that.
It's kind of like Marshawn Lynch reborn, because you know, like he kind of came into the game at the tail end of Marshawn's career, and Marshawn would do the same thing. And then this guy was bigger.
Yeah, he's 6'3". I think Marshawn Lynch is like very not short, but he's shorter. And like this guy is just like a fucking house running at you. It'd be terrifying. Oh, you just watch guys turn around and run away from him and shit. That's crazy. Still killing it. I mean, he's still doing good, but I'm saying though, his mom, that woman was hurting after she gave birth to that dude. Like, I need a break.
She had to spend a couple nights. Yeah, I can't move. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he plays for the Titans. But in 1999, the first BCS national championship is held at the Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Number 1 Tennessee beats number 2 Florida State 23-16, the 28th Fiesta Bowl.
Was this Peyton Manning?
This is not Peyton Manning. This is was it T. Martin?
Oh, I think he was on the Steelers. I think we drafted his ass.
You did draft him.
Yeah, okay. The first BCS. Now it's something different. This isn't, they've completely changed this since then. Like, it's now a playoff thing and some other shit.
Yeah, and I think next year they're adding 12 teams or something.
See, like I said, I've said this on this show, I think, but and definitely to you, but I was a Penn State fan my whole childhood. Loved college football. Still would love to play the EA Sports college football video game if they ever bring that back, because that was dope. But after the whole Jerry Sandusky thing, my love of college football stopped. And I can't fully go back to enjoying it because then I'd have to be an Ohio State fan. I just feel dirty inside, Steve.
I wish you would stop saying that, man.
I just badmouthed them for so long, but I'm there. I'm with you. I'm rooting for him, Steve. Just hard.
And that Volunteers team also had Peerless Price, who I remember from the Bills. I think he had a year with the Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is an era. What was the other team? It was Tennessee and who?
Florida State, who had Peter Warrick and was it Sebastian Janikowski was on that team.
Oh, Seabach, the fucking big ass fucking burly punter or kicker.
I was trying to figure out Florida State's quarterback at the time, and
was that Bobby Bowden? Was that big old Bobby Bowden still coaching him?
Yeah, Bowden. Yeah, he was still the coach.
Yeah, I hated Florida State because they were a team that usually beat the shit out of my team if they ever played them. So I didn't like either of these teams, Steve. So I wouldn't have watched it anyway.
You would have loved watching their bowl game this time because they got spanked by Georgia 63-3. Nice. Florida State did. Yeah, that's video game numbers. But somebody who probably didn't watch that in 1999 is probably former professional wrestler Jesse Ventura, as he is sworn in as the governor of Minnesota.
You trying to tell me I'm the governor of Minnesota, of the great state of Minnesota? It's crazy. This was when you start, like, for me, when we were growing up, you still think politicians, like, sort of are good people or, like, capable people or should be doing the job they're doing. And this is where I was like, all respect to the governor, all respect to Jesse the Body, love you as an actor, love you as a wrestler and as a human being. But this is where I was like, maybe this whole politician thing is some bullshit. Like, this is some bullshit.
Yeah, all I know about him is his wrestling shit and obviously the movies, man. I didn't really pay too much attention to his politics.
No.
But
I knew he was a conspiracy theorist. He was on multiple comedy shows, talking about that shit. So I knew something of like what he was like as a dude. Maybe he was a good governor. I'm reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's book and the numbers he's talking about. I didn't know Arnold Schwarzenegger was such a good governor. So maybe these guys came in and brought a new take on it and did well. But a professional wrestler should never be running the government in any form. All due respect. So,
come on, man. You wouldn't vote for Terry Bollea. I know the fuck I would.
Brother. I mean, for what?
anything.
District attorney
King.
of fun? Yes, of course. But I don't need him running the municipality. You know, be cool, enjoy it. But this was weird.
Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, man. Shit, Dwayne Johnson on a ballot. I'm checking that shit.
You know, that being said, just that guy, I feel like maybe because we're a little further along. I feel like Jesse the Body came from an era of people that I don't know if we want some Ty Cobb dude fucking running the government, some shit like that. You know, The Rock has some more fucking flavor there, and he actually might do well. I don't know. What politicians are now is basically professional wrestlers anyway, so he probably would kill it. What politics are at this point.
Dwayne, he's a charismatic guy with an award-winning
It's
smile.
like whoever could bench the most for like that's what politics becomes. It's like the NFL combine now. It's just dudes just jacking up weights and shit.
And somebody who wasn't running for governor or running at all or doing anything in 99, January 4th, is probably American actor and stuntman Iron Eyes Cody. He passed away at the age of 94. And Iron Eyes Cody, he is recognizable as the Native American with the tear in the PSA that predates us. I think this was like early 80s, maybe 70s. You know, what was it? A environmental PSA? I can't remember.
Yeah, because I would think the gist of the ad was somebody like throws away just like litters in front of him, and he looks down at it, and then they cut to his face, and it's just him shedding a single tear, which became like weirdly we knew about it because this is like a 70s ad, and we knew about it because it was like a hack joke, you know, which I think still is that people make jokes about this shit to this day. So I didn't know. So this guy was a stunt man.
A stunt man. He actually was an actor too.
Nice. Old Iron Eyes. Is that what his name was? Iron Eyes?
Iron Eyes Cody. His real name was Espera Oscar de Corte, born in 1904. And his first filmography listing is in 1927 in the film Back to God's Country. Yeah.
1927, were they fucking doing this with the camera? Jesus Christ.
Before the talkies.
Did he know old Eagle Eye from the Rock episode? Old Terence's grandpappy? Eagle Eye?
Shit, Terence Lambert. Yeah, Terence Lambert saw him. He could see him 40 miles away.
That's crazy. You see these ads from like like this. I was like, oh, it's probably like, you know, somebody from a Native American. And it was, but it's just like a stunt man. We're gonna have you roll down the hill too, just to get a couple takes of that.
Are you even real Native American, man? Y'all just doing blackface. But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways?
And we both I think you said you saw this movie, but it kind of has to do with 90s a little bit, that Iron Claw movie. I just wanted to say I enjoyed that. I don't think I'll ever see it again because it was really sad, but it was a really good movie, and it was cool to see that story. I don't think it told the full story. I think there were some people left off of it, but I didn't know that full scope of the tragedy of that family.
This is a long time in the making, man, because, you know, the story sells itself. It's like you said, tragic. And the fact that like this happened to a real family in the wrestling world, and wrestlers already live chaotic lives, man. There's rock stars, wrestlers, and comedians, man, always on the road, always doing drugs and trying to entertain the masses. But yeah, the one gripe, actually two. One is a bigger gripe. The Ric Flair, which, you know, has been lambasted on all over Twitter and all the social medias, man. It's like, of all the people y'all could get to play Ric Flair, this guy, like, yeah, the aviator shades, that's a given. The fluffed feathered hair, that's a given. Yeah, that's the must have. But the actual performance, come on, bruh.
I mean, if you saw like two takes of that, I'd be like, you know what, guys, we gotta rethink this. You gotta recast that immediately, because that shit, if that's what they used, that's what I was in my head thinking. Like, if this is what they had to use to make this movie, like, how bad was it? Because that couldn't have been the only fucking take. God.
Who are the
Like,
guys who didn't make the cut?
I mean, dude, you could have, like, I don't know, just fucking put Ric Flair and do the fucking Irishman shit to him with the computer. Like, do something else, because that shit was tragic. But yeah, I'm with you on that. But you're right. The internet, as soon as I thought that, there was somebody, I think Jordan was like, yeah, I think everybody else on the internet agrees, you know?
And the other gripe that I had, and it's not as big as the Ric Flair one, the guy playing Kerry Von Erich, he could have been bigger. They could have found a bigger guy because, like Kevin, the guy that High School Musical is playing, he's actually bigger than Kerry Von Erich. When in reality, it was the reverse. Like Texas Tornado was yoked,
Yeah,
from head to toe, or fake toe, authentic toe. But like the other guy, he looked like a JV wrestler.
yeah. He definitely is a tiny dude, but I think he's a good actor. That guy from the Bear is like a good actor. So, and he like facially kind of looks like that in the face, you know. But it's like this guy's 5 foot tall. He's like 5'3". This guy's supposed to be an Olympic fucking athlete, you know. But I thought that I didn't know that part of it, that you know, Kerry sort of got sort of to the top, like he did it, and then like almost immediately afterwards, like is when he lost his fucking foot.
Yeah,
that's crazy, and still did it. I mean, you told me that. I didn't know that till you told me he was missing a foot, Steve. This whole time in my life, I saw Texas Tornado. I was like, this guy's just a fucking beast with luscious hair. Not knowing there's no foot in one of those boots. That's crazy.
And then you go to Walmart and you see this 400-pound person on his card. I'm like, look, if Kerry Von Erich could win the Intercontinental title on 1 foot, damn it, you could walk these aisles of produce. No
Stop
excuses.
blocking this shit. Yeah,
picking
dude.
up both lanes.
But it was good, and I don't believe in curses. But man, it's hard to argue that. Like, it's like, man, when it's the whole fan, it's like the Bruce Lee shit, where it's just like, man, shit just fucking went tanked after all this. Like, your whole family, there's one left. And he's still alive, right? He's still alive.
Kevin is the last surviving one, man. You know, and at the end it was touching. I hate to spoil this. I mean, a lot of wrestling fans know how it ends, but like, you know, he's talking to his sons and he's crying. They're like, Dad, why are you crying? Because I used to be a brother. Now I'm not anymore. And like his sons were like, be your brother, Dad. Like,
yeah, dude. And it was a really good movie. Like, everybody acted beyond the gripes. Like, I thought everybody just killed it. And I thought it was kind of touching also. Like, you can call it cheesy, but like when they showed the 3 dead brothers in it, like kind of being in heaven together, like seeing each other and stuff. And even the younger one, like, it was just, you know, I thought that was just kind of, it's a very literal interpretation, but I just thought it was kind of beautiful.
The dream sequence. But from what I was told, if you kill yourself, that's not how heaven works.
Yeah. There was a Robin Williams movie about that too. So.
Yeah. I don't want to touch that because I love both of them. But all I have, man, 1993, Fresh Prince is airing Winner Takes Off. And this is when they pranked Jeffrey into thinking he won the lottery. And I always remember this episode for when he's like just going off on the family, going on a rant. And he's just like, I quit. And he jumps on the couch. I quit. It's like the first thing I remember, man. In 1999, Raw is airing the episode where Mick Foley, as Mankind, defeats The Rock to win the WWF Championship, and Tony Schiavone basically is telling people, "Hey, you might, if you want to watch that other show, we'll just tell you what's going to happen. Mankind's going to win the title," and that backfired because everybody's like, "Whoa, he's going to beat The Rock? Shit, I need to watch that."
Click.
Yeah, so as we turn to Raw and stay there, Nitro, they air the Kevin Nash versus Hollywood Hogan match, and Hogan defeats Nash because of the finger poke of doom. So the end is near for WCW.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it got convoluted near the end there, you know, but you couldn't, like, when you see what the Attitude Era was throwing, when you're actually like sitting here now watching it, it's like, it's crazy WCW held on so long, like with all like them mixing the NWOs and stuff and like diluting it and that shit. But that's hilarious. Like, hey, well, we're gonna ruin it for you, and everybody they're like, wait, the ratings just tanked. What the fuck?
And his exact words were, "That's going to put some butts in seats." I was like, "Bro, you have no idea."
Oh fuck. Well, Steve, you made me cry.
Look-
Your selections made me cry this week. So damn it, damn you.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Next time around, it won't be as painful. But please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister, thank you for being a friend. Check out our buddy, Congressman Clark, on the YouTubes. Check out Crushgasm with Kendra every Wednesday, as well as Food Show Fanatics with Kendra and Matt. This is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s.